Nate Diaz versus Anthony Pettis. All right, let's talk more about their records, Daniel.
With Nate Diaz wins at 20 and losses at 11 and no contest at 0. With Anthony Pettis at 22 wins, 9 losses and 0 contests.
And when we look at the stats of the fight, Nate Diaz had 1 knockdown during that fight. Anthony Pettis had 0. The total strikes landed by Nate Diaz, 203 out of 306. Anthony Pettis, 86 out of 153. Significant strikes, 114 out of 201. Anthony Pettis, 69 out of 133. And don't forget about the takedowns Nate Diaz did. He landed 1 out of 1 takedowns. Anthony Pettis couldn't say nothing for him, 0 out of 0. Now, submission attempts was a different story, where Nate Diaz was 0, Anthony Pettis with 1. Yeah, a lot of people in this fight had Nate Diaz as the underdog. He wasn't the favorite fighter. His 3-year layoff really cost him a lot of fans. They didn't think he had it. They thought ring rust was going to get to him.
I thought he was going to win because, he's a scrappy Mexican. He goes in there and does his shit. He just goes in there and finishes off the fights. But, his record, yeah, it looks like he would have lost that fight. Just looking at the record. If you just look at the record.
Oh, come on, man.
He beat McGregor, but come on, look at the record, dude. More losses than wins compared to Anthony Pettis.
Well, McGregor versus Diaz is another story. Right now it's Nate versus Pettis. Okay, let's get back to that ring rust with Nate Diaz. The first round he wasn't looking too good. He gassed out. It looked like he gassed out to me, from what I seen. And Nate Diaz was looking good. He was looking fine. He almost finished him in the fight, almost. And then second and third round came back. Nate came back with fucking flurry of punches. The amount of strikes he threw was just insane. You watched the fight?
No, actually, I didn't.
Oh, that's too bad. You should go back and watch it because that was a hell of a fight, man. Yeah, but with Anthony Pettis, man, he's not just some guy off the block. He's not a new guy. He's a former champion, From the UFC to WEC, he's a fucking champion. Crazy guy, known for the Pettis kick, the Superman kick.
What do you think started him to win that fight? Because, you said Anthony had started winning the first round. What do you think made that turnaround?
Well, his conditioning, man,
You think he just gassed out?
Anthony's conditioning was just off the top, But Nate, such a pressure fighter, he kept throwing and throwing and throwing. Eventually, he did catch Anthony with some hits that stunned him, stopped him. But what you're asking me is, what do I think stopped it? Okay, look, Diaz, such a crazy fighter. He's a stand-up fighter. He's a boxer. He's a brawler. He doesn't care if he gets it. He'll hit you back. Anthony Pettis is a Showtime fighter. He likes those flashy kicks, and I think that's what really got to him. He shows off, and it really just got the best of him.
I agree. You said Anthony was also a former champ, right?
Oh yeah, he was a
so he's not just champ. A nobody. He's someone. He's up there, right, in the UFC.
Yeah. Anthony Showtime Pettis, one of the very well-known fighters, crazy fighter.
He was a Showtime competitor that night, right? This was what you said, the most seen pay-per-view fight
of the year, yeah. Because I feel like it wasn't just this fight that brought the most pay-per-views. It was a lot of the main event and the fight before this, But this was a very big eye catcher. A lot of people wanted to see a famous old fighter come back to the ring and see if he still had it or not.
Yeah, 3-year layoff? That's pretty
layoff.
Crazy, bro.
That's insane. Hey, who's calling, man?
All right, so anyway. We'll go ahead and start talking about the fact that he was an underdog.
An underdog. Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about that?
We pretty much did talk about it. We talked about how a lot of people didn't have him as their favorite fighter because of the 3-year layoff. The ring rust they thought he had. They thought he was going to come back and get dominated by Anthony.
And he showed us wrong.
Well, he did show us wrong. He showed a lot of people wrong.
Well, I actually was going for Nate Diaz.
Oh, yeah, same here. Okay, let's talk about after the fight now. When he talked to, Joe Rogan, he talked about a call-out. And then this really did shock me because this was something I wasn't expecting. I was expecting him to talk about, the McGregor trilogy with him.
Oh, and yeah?
That really psyched me up. But there's another recent fighter that I started liking. His name's Jorge Masvidal. The reason why is because he's got a 5-second knockout, official fastest knockout of the UFC. 5-second knockout on the first round, a flying knee of Ben Askren. Knocked him cold. And that was just an amazing performance. And I'm guessing Diaz thought the same. So he sure enough did call him out.
He called out him.
He told him, he said, "You a gangster, but you ain't no West Side gangster," and that's just bringing me to the edge of the seat. I really want to see that fight happen.
Yeah, I do too, bro.
And I know for a fact it's going to be in the process of fights. They're already talking about it. They're already making contracts. This is a big fight already. I can't wait to see it. It's just
and
one
you
of the
think
best fights.
that'll move him up to the main event?
Oh, for a fact, this is gonna be the main event. You know, Diaz versus Masvidal. It's just gonna be a main event. I can't see it being nothing else but the main event.
Yeah, and I could see people coming along on Nate Diaz's side. You think people will be taking Nate Diaz's?
After this fight performance, yes, I can see that 100%.
But then again, people will bring back the 5-second knockout, and then they'll question it, right? It's just the fact that we don't know who would win this fight.
Yes.
That's what is UFC. That's what is boxing.
Jorge's a tough fighter, man. For him to get a 5-second knockout is good, but being in the ring with Diaz for fucking 25 minutes, go ahead and see how he does well against that.
I mean, unless he puts him out in 5 seconds.
Yeah, you're not wrong.